Welcome, everyone, to Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Reardon, and I will be your coach this evening. So, we're going to be picking up where we left off last time. And last time we had a workshop and we were talking about fad diets and our body type and what type of diet you should be getting into. Because if you're not eating the foods you love, then what are you doing? Are you living life? And yes, you can eat a salad, you can eat a chicken breast every single night and be happy. But there's more to life than just eating a salad and a chicken breast. For example, me, I'm about to have some cake after the show. It's not my birthday. I'm not celebrating life. I'm just having some cake. And do I deserve cake? Maybe. Maybe I was a good boy. Maybe I wasn't. Who knows? But who cares? But what I do know is the cake is going to be delicious, number one. And number two, that it's not going to affect me. And I don't need to worry about, oh, I'm going to gain 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds because of my regimen. And people fail their diet not because of the foods they're eating, is because more so of their habits. So if you have a piece of cake, oh well, right? You had a piece of cake. But if you eat a whole cake, that's the problem. Now, if you want to eat a whole cake, then you better have a workout regimen that means you can have a whole cake. So if you're like an Olympic swimmer, you probably wouldn't even want a whole cake at that point, but you will be burning enough calories. So today we're going to be putting the puzzle together. We're going to be talking about your body type. We're going to be talking about macros, your figuring out your macros for your body, right? And then the last piece of the puzzle, what diet to use. Because, yeah, I can say, just go on keto. You can lose some weight, and you might lose weight. And you might be successful, but long term, you won't. So let's get into it. Let's get into the body types, moving on so we can hurry up and get you to the body that you're looking for. Heading over to a presentation we did last week or the week before, I believe. And this presentation has our body types. So you can either be an ectomorph, a mesomorph, or an endomorph. Okay. So an ectomorph is going to be someone who's tall, lanky, very slender, almost skinny. You may think they're skinny, or you might misconstrue them for being anorexic, but that's not necessarily the case. That's just their body type. So these people have narrow hips, smaller joints, thin build. They're thin naturally. They have stringy muscles, so they're very lanky, and long limbs. Then you have your mesomorph. Okay, these people are going to have wide clavicles, narrow waist, thinner joints, long and round muscle belly. So these people are going to be a little bit more muscular. Okay. Now, these are your last type is going to be your endomorph, and that's going to be your blocky, thick rib cage, wide, thicker joints, hip as wide or wider than clavicles, and shorter limbs. Okay, so let's talk about body type, body image, because that's important. Because if I'm an endomorph and I'm trying to look like an ectomorph, would that work for my body type? It wouldn't. Understand your body type, number one. All right, look at the pictures. What is your natural body type? And if you have a layer of fat on you, take it off, mentally. Take it off and just say, all right, what body type could I possibly be? And if that doesn't work, take a test. So there's tests that you can take that give you a ballpark of what body type you are. We're not going to take a test now because it's going to be different for you, right? So for me, of course, I'm going to be an ectomorph. And I basically evolved into more of a mesomorph over the years, just that body type. But it took countless hours in the gym. So all these skinny guys or skinny people that would come to me and they're like, how do you build muscle? You used to be skinny, used to be slender. And I said, okay, well, you have to do this, right? You have to go in the gym. You have to eat this type of food. These are the calories you want to be taking. These are the macros you want to be reaching. And all of that plays a role. So people typically want the body, but they're not willing to do the work to get the body. And movie stars, yeah, when they're trying to get roles, they do their work for 30 days, 60 days, whatever it takes for them to get the body they need for the movie script or whatever. And they go back to normal, right? They eat their pies and their pizzas and their hamburgers, and they're full of delight. So getting into our macros. So what are macros for people who are new? Macros are going to be either a fat, a carb, or a protein, right? And that's going to be your main sources of energy and nutrients for the body. Not considering vitamins, right? We're not talking about vitamins. We're talking about what our body is going to be using for fuel and repair. So this is based on a 2,000 calorie per day diet. For anyone who is uncertain what that means, if you are reading a nutrition tab, let's go to a nutrition tab, the calories would be on top right here. Okay. But we're talking about macros today because we need to hurry up and get to the puzzle. We're trying to fix and figure out the last piece of the puzzle. So yes, we need a certain amount of carbs a day, and this is all daily averages. So for a daily average person, you're looking at 225 grams to 325 grams of carbs. For your fats, 45 grams to 77 grams. And for your daily protein, 50 to 175 grams. And this is your daily average, okay? And this does not include fad diets. So if you're on keto, of course, you're not going to be looking at a high amount of carbs. You're going to be looking at less than 15 grams of carbs on keto. Maybe less than 10 if you can. And then higher in fat. So you're looking at the 200 range. So that is macros. But we need to figure out our calculator. So we have a few calculators here. And we just go to Google, right? We just go to Google and we say, all right, we're in Google. Let's figure out which calculator we need. And there's a few, right? There's one, this is like NIHLBI. That's like a .gov. So this will be a good one to check out. So let's open this in a new tab. And then there's one from the CDC, and that's everyone's favorite company, or that's everyone's favorite organization right now. So let's click them. Oh, CDC. Oh, we have to listen to them. So 6 feet. I'm going to say I'm 6'5", and I'm going to say I'm 213 pounds, and that's mostly muscle, of course. So we're going to calculate. All right. So they're telling me exactly what I need to know. Now, this is the CDC, so should I listen to them? Maybe. Should I take what they tell me with a grain of salt? Maybe. But use this information and compare it to other calculators. Okay? So here we have what the CDC is recommending, right? So my body mass index is right here. So I'm overweight. That's what they're telling me. I'm overweight. And am I unhealthy? That's another question, right? People believe that BMI is the end all be all when it comes to being in shape, because the BMI calculator does not calculate my body type. So yeah, if I was an ectomorph, because I'm tall, so they're calculating my height. Now they're saying, oh, you're supposed to be skinny. Okay. But I'm overweight because muscle weighs more than fat. So I have a lot of muscle on me. But I'm overweight. So don't believe what the CDC is telling you. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Don't believe what a BMI calculator is telling you, because it might be telling you something wrong, because the body type in your image is depending on you. So let's get into the second one. And this one, it seems broken. So the government one is broken, lo and behold. 6'5", and I weigh 213 pounds, all muscle. Okay, let's compute this. Okay, so 25.3, same thing, 25. And I'm right at the edge, right? I'm right at the cusp, 25.3. If I was a little bit less, then the CDC would tell me I'm healthy. But since I'm not, I have to listen to them, and I have to say I'm unhealthy, and I have to change my ways. So let's see what they say, right? They have a bunch of information here also. So you use this information here and you compare it with what the CDC says, and you compare this government one, and then you can go to other calculators, because there's hundreds of calculators on Google or on the internet, and you can figure out a proper BMI after you have enough for a margin of error. So get enough results for a margin of error. After you have your BMI and you understand, okay, well, I am obese, right? Because you might say, I have more fat on me than the muscle I want. So you could look in the mirror and you can tell yourself if you have more fat on you than the muscle you want. So let's get into macro counting. All right, I spelled macro calculator wrong, but not to worry. Google saved the day. So macro calculator. So we have many choices, right? We have bodybuilding.com, we have calculator.net, and of course, we're going to use two, because that is just the right way to do things. So here we have a macro calculator, and you're just going to figure out what type of nutrients you need per day. Okay. So my age, don't look. All right. This, you know what? We need to talk to someone about this, because we have male, female, and there's nothing else, right? There's supposed to be something else. But guess what? It's not here. I don't see anyone making a fuss about it. Let's figure that out. All right. Weight. I'm 213 on muscle. Maintain current body weight. Do I want to? What is my goal? What is my goal, people? Do I want to maintain my current weight, lose weight, or gain weight? Important. Guys who are coming to me and saying, how do I gain weight? Click this button. Guys coming to me, how do you lose weight? Click this button. Guys who are content where their life is, guess what? Just say you want to stay the same. Okay? Maintain it. Tell me what type of lifestyle you have. The reason why they ask this question is because they're trying to figure out how many calories you burn naturally. So if you go to the gym 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a week, then that needs to be known, because if not, the macro calculator is going to say, well, you're not even doing anything. You're literally staying at home because you're working from home because of the pandemic. And then now you're not even going out to the gym or doing any type of exercise, because once work is over, you're on the sofa. And yeah, you might be lazy, you might be tired, who knows? But let's say we have a lightly active lifestyle. And the reason I say that is because people are not going to say they're lazy, right? So they're going to say, I'm lightly active. I do a few things 3 or 4 times a week. I like walk up the stairs. I walk to the fridge. I go to the grocery store. Okay. So lightly active. Let's click that. This is not for me though. But I'm going to pretend I am lightly active. Let's calculate. All right. So they give me some ads. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's how they make their money. So this is what I'm looking at right here. With a goal of maintenance, you should have a macro ratio of 40% carbs, 30% protein, and 30% fat. And they're so nice, and they calculate everything for me. My proteins should be 209 grams per day. My carbs should be 279 per day. And my fats should be 93 grams per day. And that is a rough estimate because they don't know me, right? They don't know my body type. They're using a large example of different body types, right? So they have different examples of body types, and that's what they're using. And this gets you very close to where you need to be, okay? You might have to cut off a few carbs. You might have to add a little bit more protein and cut some fats off, okay? That's what you might have to do. Now, let me tell you my numbers because I know my numbers. So my proteins are going to be around 225 to 250. That's what I go for every day. My carbs, I do like to stay around 220. And my fats, I like to be at 45. But that's not enough calories. Okay. That's my maintenance calories. That's where I stay the same. Now, if I want to gain weight, of course, this would be more appropriate. Actually, I would need more protein, but the carbs, I would just kind of push probably maybe 30 points, 20 to 30 points. Then I'm going to be gaining weight. But why is that, right? So let's get back into our food types. And we look at this nutritional fat guide. So here we have our calories, our fat, our carbohydrates, and our protein, right? I don't know what nutritional tab this is. This could be ramen noodles. This can be cookies. This can be mashed potatoes. Who knows? But what I do know is this is not the healthiest thing, right? How do I know that? Because I did math. And so if you know how to use a nutritional fact label, then that means a nutritional fact label, they're going to have a serving size and how many servings in a container. So the only thing we have to do is simple math. So here we have 8 times whatever. Okay? 8 times whatever. So we're doing calories, we're doing 8 times fat, 8 times carbohydrates, and 8 times protein. So I'm going to let this be a math session for a second, and I'm going to leave it to you. Did you guys get the answers? Oh, great. So nutritional tab is right over here, all the answers. So if we multiply 8 by all those numbers, we have now these numbers. So now our calories, 1,800 calories, just rounding up right now. We're not worried about sodium, but you should go be around 1,500 milligrams of sodium a day. You typically don't want to go over 2,100 milligrams, okay? But we're not going to worry about that right now. Carbs, 296 grams of carbs, just whatever this is. So if I eat this whole box or whatever it is, this is what I'm consuming. 64 grams of fat and 24 grams of protein. Holy moly, not enough protein. So let's go back to the macro calculator. What are they talking about? I'm only getting 209 grams. I'm supposed to be getting 209 grams of protein. And here, I'm only getting 24 grams. Here, I'm supposed to be getting 279 grams per day at 11. Well, we're not going to worry about calories because it's going to be mixed. But 279 grams of carbs. 296 grams of carbs from whatever I just ate. So that's even more than what I need. And then the fats, I'm supposed to be at 93 grams per day, which I think is false. I would not recommend anyone going that high in fats if they're trying to lose weight. And here we have 64 grams. You can see it doesn't compute, right? So even though you come here to bodybuilder.com to figure out your maintenance calories and you figure out the macros and you do all the work, guess what? This needs to still be adjusted. This helps you with a ballpark. So you can always go higher in protein. But when you go higher in carbs, you're going to probably tend to gain weight. And the same is true for fats if you're not burning it off. And then let's go here to this one. Our last macro calculator, and we're going to compare it to our other macro calculator, which is from bodybuilding.com. So age, don't look. All right. I am going to be 6. That. And of course, this is that. And I'm going to even make my life the same. And I do light exercise. I'm only doing light exercise. I'm trying to maintain the weight, trying to keep these macros the same as bodybuilding.com. That's all I'm trying to do. Okay. Well, if you can remember, guess what? There's a difference. Right here. Compared to calculator.net and bodybuilding.com, they're telling me I need less protein. They're telling me I need more carbs. They're telling me I need less fats. And they're telling me how many grams of sugar I need to stay under and how many calories I should be having. Now, the only thing the same here is the amount of calories I should be having. So what's the difference, right? How do we find the correct fix for us? And that's going to require trial and error. And if you look at the video description, we're trying to get the perfect piece to our puzzle, the perfect mix of how to get a better body. And you know what I typically do when it comes to a wide variety of macro data that I get? I always take away carbs and fats. I always subtract it. So if I'm at 372 grams of carbs, I subtract it. If I'm at 79 grams of fat and they're telling me 79 grams of fat, I subtract it. Protein, I typically add. And it doesn't have to be crazy either. And the next step is I monitor it. And this is where people fail. People fail to get in shape because they do not track their macros. And primarily the macros I'm talking about are going to be your carbs and your fats. So a little bit of science data. How is fat created in the body? Okay. Well, fat is created by the body when you consume food and the body doesn't need the energy. Typically, what the body would do with the food is break it down, use it as energy. But if you eat more calories, if you eat more carbs or fats, and your body doesn't need it, guess what happens? Your body is so smart, and it says, I'm going to save this for a rainy day. And that's where the pockets of fat come on your body. So for men, their stubborn fat area is going to be their abdomen, right? Their bellies. For ladies, it typically goes in their legs and in their waist area. So there's no shortcut to saying, all right, I'm going to lose belly fat. It doesn't work that way. Men typically store belly fat around their midsection, ladies in their lower body. That's just what happens. But if you gain enough weight, it goes other places. Now it's in your arms. Now it's in your face. Now it's on your back. And you just want to lose some belly weight. But that's not how the body operates. The body is going to consume your fat stores equally. So it's going to take some from your arms, some from your face, some from your back, some from your legs, some from your chest, your belly. And that's why people get frustrated. Ladies are trying to lose their big thighs maybe, and it's not happening quick enough. So they're like, this is pointless. I give up. It's too much work. And working out is a lot of work. I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say it's something that you can easily do. because it requires commitment, it requires consistency, and it requires the discipline for you to do it on at least 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, if you go more, great. If you go less, then you're just, you're still in the light realm, right? We're trying to be moderate. For people, for men who are saying, oh, I want a 6-pack. I just want a 6-pack. I don't want to lift weights or anything. I just want a 6-pack. Okay, do abs. Your abs are going to be hidden underneath your fat. So unless you decide to burn fat, you're going to have a 6-pack hidden. So you're going to have your 6-packs are going to be there, but it's going to be hidden because we all have abs. It's just that some people have to dig a little bit deeper or get rid of or shave off a little bit more fat. And if you're one of those people, it's not a problem, right? I'm not here to judge people. I'm not here to say, oh, you're an ectomorph and you look like a mesomorph. I mean, that would probably be something a kid would say in 8th grade and probably hurt someone's feelings. But we're not trying to do that. We're not bullies here. We're just trying to make people better. We're trying to educate people. And for people who are trying to gain weight and they're having a difficult time, these are the steps you have to take. So the first step, just a quick recap. We want to figure out our body type. And after we figure out our body type, then we can go on to figuring out our macros. Okay, so we figure out our macros. So here we have some macros, a few macros. Easy peasy. And then we have our BMI, right? After we're done, either we can come here for it to make us feel better, or we can come here to get another lie. I'm overweight, apparently, but I'm not, because I'm only at 25.3, and most of my weight is from muscle. So that's not calculated, but we have to put everyone in a box. Don't be put in a box when someone tells you that you're too big or you're obese, because you may or may not be obese, right? And if you are uncertain if you are obese, figure out how bad your BMI is. So I'm only a few points away, right? Not a problem, right? But if I was several points away from where I needed to be, then I would be worried. So it says 30 or greater if you're BMI, right? But if you're a big person, of course, you're going to have more weight on you. But if you're 5'2", 350 pounds, sweetheart, you better see the Stairmaster. And then this is not to make fun of you, right? What I want for people is I want them to be healthy. And I understand people are going to be upset. I understand people are not going to like me because I'm saying go work out. Guess what? Get over it. In life, you're going to have to face reality. You're going to either get the results that you're looking for, or you're going to fall to the wayside and not have the results you want. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And yeah, you can go for surgery and get your stomach stapled, or you can get a fat reduction surgery. You can do that. I don't consider it cheating. I just consider it an alternate method. For me, I like a challenge. If I decide to gain 100 pounds and I'm now 100 pounds overweight and I'm obese, it's my job to fix it. Not a doctor's. I don't need a doctor to say, oh, well, you're obese and I recommend surgery. No. I'm going to recommend the treadmill. All right. I would work my butt off before I allow someone to put me under, or put me on the table or under the knife or whatever you call it, cut me up. I don't need it. And neither do you. So in order for you to get the body you're looking for, the first step, understand macros, how to calculate the macros you're eating with the foods you have. And you can do that with MyFitnessPal. There's other apps you can go to. You can just go to the website of the product you're buying, look up the nutritional guide. If there's not one on the back of the box or the bag, get a scale, weigh out your food. You can do that. And it's not difficult. And people always say, oh no, it's going to be too much work to weigh food. And I understand that. I do. For me, I weigh out pasta, right? Pasta is my enemy. When it comes to pasta night, I have to understand, like, if I don't weigh my pasta out, I'm going to eat too much pasta and then I'm going to gain weight. And it's not a crazy amount of weight. It's like 2 or 3 pounds, right? That's for one serving, because I don't know how my hand puts all this pasta on my plate, but it does. It puts 3 or 4 servings. And before I know it, I'm now over my calorie intake. I'm over my carb intake. And now my body says, hey, you're not even burning all this. So if I want to keep eating that amount of food, I either need to increase my gym regimen or I need to lower my food consumption. And typically, lowering your food consumption is going to be the answer. So what I do is I use Tupperware. And you can use meal prep containers. And initially, you want to weigh out your food. Initially, right? Just do it for at least 2 weeks and figure out what type of foods go in your container, right? So whether it be rice, pastas, whatever, and see how that container looks when it's filled. Just look at it. So now that this container is filled a certain way, right? So you can see that there's maybe a layer of rice or rice is all in the corner up to a certain point on the container. And that's all you have to remember. My rice can only be this much. Then you can fill the rest with vegetables or with proteins, whatever, right? Vegetables and protein can fill you up. Carbs are going to be your quick source of energy, unless you're on keto. Then fats are going to be your quick source of energy. All in all, though, not too difficult to get the body you want, but there has to be some type of steps you take, some type of plan you follow. And the easiest way to follow that plan, head over to revenconcepts.com. And you can book a free consultation and you can just say, hey, I'm interested in figuring out what I need for my body. I can't tell you how many free body composition sessions I had where I tell people the macros they need, what type of foods they should be eating, and I say, have a good day. Sometimes we even have time for a workout that I can implement in their life. And that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Next week, we're going to have the blog on Monday, of course. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be breaking it down to what workouts you should be doing. And that's going to wrap up our month of health and our fitness. And we might have a surprise guest on Friday for an interview on nutrition, but the goal is to get you where you need to be. And so if we don't have time Friday, we'll bring in someone else for mindset, body type, body image, consulting, all of those wonderful things. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, email me, coachinginsession@gmail.com. If you want to pick up and work with me as a coach, head over to revenconcepts.com, figure out what type of program you want, and then book your program. It's as easy as 1, 2, do it. If you're stuck, get unstuck. If you're in a good place, great, stay there. But if you're lost, let me be your light. So again, join me Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for another coaching in session. And we're going to be tackling what the blog is. So everyone, take care until then.